Hey everyone, welcome to another recap chat. This is Irene, CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends. This is the finale of this season of 90 Day Fiance, and it's entitled All We Need Is Love. Now, Saeed, he busts in to the little wedding party where Stevie is getting ready for the wedding, and he wants to talk. So, uh, Again, 90 Day Fiance is a reality show that follows couples. One person's from the US, the other from another country. We follow them with all of their trials and tribulations and relationship issues, long distance issues. They have cultural barriers, language boundaries, the whole fact that they're trying to marry in another country, and legally they have to do this in order to be in the same living space with each other and to spend their life together. They have to get married in order for that person to come into the country. All of those legal ramifications. It's 90 Day Fiance, and we're closing it all out. Who gets married and who doesn't? Really? Well, again, last time Saeed busts in to Stevie as she's trying to get ready for the wedding with her girlfriends. And he's like, well, you understood where I was coming from, why I was questioning you and all of that. Because he doesn't have anyone else here. His family's not here. I'm kind of his only friend. She's like, well, I'm his friend. Basically, she's saying, I care about him too, and I love him, and she genuinely cares. So he apologizes. I thought he was going to ask her some more questions, do a full interrogation, but then he asked for a hug, and she's like, no, that's okay. Let's just do a fist bump. I don't know if maybe she thought Maddie would not feel good about the hug. I know in that culture, other men talking to your woman is supposed to be taboo. A man and a woman alone with each other is actually supposed to be taboo as well. And definitely physical affection is taboo. Even a simple hug that doesn't mean anything is taboo in some cultures, and I believe, is from Iran. So I don't know if she felt like he would have went back and said something, or she just wasn't feeling him enough to touch him and hug him that way because she was still kind of mad. So he got the fist bump. So now it's time for her to try on her dress. Will it zip? Will it zip? Yes, it took two people, one to hold it together, one to zip it up, but it worked. And it didn't look that tight, guys. Her friend starts to cry for her and say, you've been through so much, Stevie. You deserve this. You're beautiful. This is your moment. When it comes to Maddie and Saeed, Maddie's like, how do I tie this tie? Ties are usually associated with Western culture. We just don't deal with ties. I don't know how to tie a tie either. Sorry. Saeed couldn't help him either, though he's supposed to be from America. Yeah, a lot of us Americans don't know how to tie ties either, and I'm definitely one of them. But you would think a dude would know, but then it's like, your woman should know so she can help you. Sorry, I don't know. Saeed's bad at it. I think he said he's gonna get one of the other guys that's friends with one of Stevie's friends' husbands to help, something like that. So that's what happens. Was he wearing a tie? I think he was. Anyway, I could be wrong at this point. I don't even recall if he's wearing a tie as I'm recording this, but you guys might see something on the screen. I don't know what platform you're on. If you're on a visual platform, you might see something on the screen indicating what happened. All right, I know I'm kind of getting stuck in this little loop right here, but I'm going to try to get out of this, okay? So when he gets into the wedding venue, he sees something called a half zine, and he's very surprised by this. It kind of represents his culture. It's 7 things that start with the letter S for the Persian New Year. And he said this is really a sweet surprise. It gets a bit emotional, and he feels like it's a sign of his family being there with him, I guess, in spirit during this time, this special moment. So the first person he sees is actually, he does see the dad first and says, hey, Dad, and all that. But then she gets there, and Dad is the first person to see her in her wedding dress. Of course, he tells her she's beautiful, and if this is what she wants, he's here for her, basically. And despite everything that they went through previously, the unsurety, and then they're just trying to figure out if this guy is legit. He does wish them well as a couple. They have a nice traditional wedding, and they're happy that they kept their promise to each other. It was a nice venue, a nice wedding. It was very traditional and a typical wedding, but I saw the love there, and that's what's most important, right, guys? All right, next up is not a wedding, but it's a bedding. When it comes to Sarper and Shekinah, um, they show the whole bedding setup with the flowers and everything. Basically, their bedding is gonna be they're getting married in the bed, guys. They're getting married in the bed. There's gonna be only them two, I believe, the photographer and the person officiating the ceremony, as well as I believe the young lady that was a friend helping with the wedding planning. So let's say total about 5 people. Oh, one more. There was someone playing the violin as well. Her violin skills were a little bit lacking, guys. Sorry, she was kind of giving me nightmare violin a bit. And speaking of nightmares, Sarper's been having nightmares all week before the wedding. She tells her friend that. But they have beauty treatments in their robes and coffee. They're discussing before the big moment. She reassures him, but Sarper lets us know he's still unsure. She kind of says he's kind of acting unstable because they have to separate a few hours before the wedding so they can get ready. And she's trying to reach Sarper, but he can't be reached. So she's wondering if he ran off again. He did this earlier, guys. But finally he picks up and he says, "Oh, I couldn't be found." He said, "I can always be found because you have tracked me everywhere. You have a tracker everywhere for me." And, he was joking, but not. I guess he was half joking. But he reminisces about how Shekinah changed him to a better person, and he's glad. He's having memories and flashbacks. And he says he chooses to marry her and he loves her. But she comes out in her lingerie looking dress. It was actually very cute. This whole bedding to me seemed a bit sleazy at first in my eyes and my mindset. But I kind of think they pulled it off. She had a lingerie-ish looking dress, and he had, to me, he looked like he was a Chippendale. I didn't know how to feel about that at first, but once they came together, the pictures were taken, the moment was had, and the love appeared to be there. I just thought it worked really, really well. But yeah, he looks like a Chippendale stripper. He said, "Thanks for never giving up on me and his vows, despite the red flags." And he promises never to cheat. And after all is said and done, he ends with a striptease, and there are panties on the chandelier. I don't know if I can say panties, but I did. Hey, let's see if Amani, Ani, and Matt have a wedding. Well, it's their last morning in Mexico, so they haven't had time to make any wedding plans, and actually once the camera crew gets there, they're in the middle of a fight. Money and control is an issue. Amani is accused of controlling the money, and Ani is packing to leave. Ani says that she's crazy, basically. The money that Amani said that she would send didn't go through yet. Some type of bank wire, because they're in Mexico. So she thought that since it didn't come through, that she cut her off for choosing her husband Matt over her. Amani says, "Hey, you can manipulate these men in a club and be that type of woman, but just because you're that type of woman doesn't mean that that's me. I'm not manipulative. I'm not controlling like you're claiming that I am." Matt tries to calm things down as usual. Then, Amani was just going off saying all types of stuff. She says you have zero self-respect because you dance for money. She says, and then Ani's like, "You think you're a queen?" Amani calls her the bipolar B word. And then Amani started to break down and say, "I'm the problem." But I think I'm kind of jumping ahead of here. So I think that they go to the airport, by Uber or something like that. No, I was right with the other part. She broke down and said, I'm the problem. He says, there's no me without you. This is, he's trying to work things out. So Matt is in the middle, as usual. And as they're leaving, and she's gonna get ready to get on her plane, she says, thank you. This is what Amani says to Ani. But Ani is so PO'd at this point, and I totally get why. She said thank you, and she apologizes. She says, why don't you look at me when I'm talking to you? She said, I'm not looking at you, not today. And she says, thank you, but I don't like many things about you. Amani forces a hug. She says, Ani off to herself, but the producer says she can't do this. She basically says Amani needs therapy. And for some reason, Amani's so confused that things turn out the way that they did. Why doesn't she like her more? I wonder why. She seems like she's over crying. It seems like a fake cry to me. There's probably real tears, but she must have practiced this. It's too much. And she's saying, I don't want this to be the last time we see each other, so I wanted to end things on a good note. But I'm like, please let this be the last time. And I'm sure Ani feels the same way. But, Ani's accusing her of dangling money over her face, but she's allowing her to dangle that money. She's allowing herself to be a pawn in this situation. She says she has her own money and her own things. Well, in that case, why are you getting so upset over the fact that the wire money didn't come across fast enough and all of this? If, her money dangling must be working. So yeah, it was a messy end to these guys, but who knows if it's ending. We actually have a tell-all to talk about coming up, so messy stuff. But I wish it would be the last time they saw each other, because this whole thing was a fail from the get-go. Alright, let's go with Sean and Aaliyah. They both look drug after the wedding, and I mean literally drug across the street. As they hit this coffee shop, they look neat, but they look drug. And Aaliyah does say she's tired, so okay, this confirms that they are drug in some way. I'm saying maybe they partied too much the night after their wedding, but it was really because they were waiting for Sean's mom to come out of the hospital. She finds out she tore a couple ligaments in her foot. When they got home, or when they actually called it a night, the couple slept in separate rooms. And he basically felt that Aaliyah was being selfish. During this whole ceremony, he mentions his mom's injury to her, and the fact that she didn't show up for 2 hours for the wedding. It took all the joy out of it for him, is what he said. Also, you didn't ask about my mom. I guess he texted her or whatever, and she didn't respond about his mom hurting herself right before the wedding. So that made him even more angry. That was something that made him more angry than the lateness. And Aaliyah says, I didn't know where she was. I didn't know at the time that she decided to still come to the wedding or not. I didn't really know the details. Then he kind of tries to blame her friend Jackie and say, was she trying to push you along, or was she just chilling, having a good time and letting you take all the time? I feel like Jackie's job really isn't to put her in her place like that, but in a way she can help her along because she's new to the country. When it comes to being timely, I thought that all countries care about being timely. I do know there's some countries that are a little bit more chill and time is more flexible, but some people are just like that where, the time is all about them, which I do feel can be selfish. Aaliyah said she felt frozen inside and she didn't know what to do because he didn't appreciate the day. She felt no support. She had no family there. And she just doesn't like the reaction of Sean when things go badly, in bad circumstances. I guess Aaliyah feels like You're supposed to make the best out of a bad situation, while Sean just really just sulks in the badness, I guess, and he, finds people to blame and just makes it probably even worse by his response to it. But she says we're just two different people, and he says, your selfishness may end this relationship. She now apologizes though. He says he's super generous person, but if I get misused, I will remove myself from that situation. She feels wrong and small right now, and their future is uncertain. So that's Sean and Aaliyah. Then not such a happy ending at this moment, but there's still time to see what's gonna happen at the tell-all. All right, now I'm gonna go back to Juan and Jess. Fun note here, he told his groomsman, I think he told Herbie, he said, esposa in Spanish not only means wife, but it means handcuffs, and he was holding our hands like he was being handcuffed. That is kind of a funny, sad fact, actually, that's how they see having a spouse, having a wife specifically. Now, what about having a husband? Should be handcuffs too. Anyway, Juan is moving slow this morning. His vows aren't ready. She's like, happy wedding day. It's been a 2.5-year wait since they got engaged. She's been ready for this. You know how women and you know how brides can be. He says, he's a good writer, but he hates writing, so he hasn't written his vows. And she's like, hey, she has 6 pages, and I see the intimidation. Maybe 1 page or less is enough, but it mostly is just if it comes from the heart, it's good phrasing, that's all you need. And he was joking, saying the wedding got canceled, guys. And I don't know why he would make a joke like that. Come on. Anyway, Jess secretly asked his cousin to help add Spanish to her vows to show her love and to show she's serious about learning more about his culture and integrating that into their baby's life, as well as the whole family, because the kids the other boys are going to have to learn it too, so they can kind of communicate. The cousin was really sweet and helpful. They're at the venue and they're all dressed, but, he still doesn't have his vows written. He says it's in his head. He's got part of it written down. I got about 50% written down. Then he said, I think about 25% written down. So it keeps changing. It looks like they had somebody painting at the wedding, which I think is really cool. But I don't know if they stood still enough for them to be painted. I don't know how that painting thing worked. His 2 aunts were there with him to walk him to the altar. Sadly, he lost his mom a couple years ago, so it was beautiful that they were there for him. The kids walked down together, which was a sweet moment. The 2 boys holding their little baby brother, and her parents walk her down. Juan does his vows first. He's all choked up. He's starting to cry a bit. Now, this is the guy who wrote his vows last minute, and now he's so choked up and emotional. I thought it was so cute. I thought it was kind of funny. Like, oh, I'm not taking this seriously. I'm a man. Am I ready to get married? Well, he's very choked up and very emotional, and it shows it means a lot to him, which is a good sign. And as he talks, he gets more and more choked up. So when it's Jess's turn, she's like, can I really top that? I don't even think she choked up like he did. They all kind of laugh at that moment. The whole thing was sweet. I love the boys. And once they come and do their wedding dance, the salsa music comes on. And he says, yeah, now we're really bringing a bit of Colombia to this wedding. Because he did want to represent his culture. And in that way, he was able to do so. More than just the flowers, I think, that Megan had them make. And last but not least, we have Mark and Mina. He's popping champagne while she's getting ready. We see all the lace front being done. The lace front is all over her face. It's been 5 years together and a 3-year wait for them to actually get married. She does miss Clayton, and they have a picture to represent him at the wedding. And he's about to walk out without that picture. Is it wedding day jitters? Well, he does after that cut his face shaving, so yeah, he's got the jitters all right. And he has this big, huge piece of tissue on the side of his face. He's like, it's been a while since I cut myself like this. Yeah, you got the jitters, sir. Her mom always wanted to see her in white, and she does look like a beautiful bride. I'm assuming that her mom has passed on. Dad, Mark, pep talks his daughter Jordan. He just like hypes her up to be positive on this day, and she's like, well, at least she signed the prenup, so that makes things better. She's acting like she's kind of warming up to the idea of Mina being around, but she might as well. They're at a wedding now. I mean, they're married. They're basically one step from marriage anyway, so she gotta warm up to it, right? But she says, I still hope that they don't have any more kids before me, basically. Maria runs out. She gets the biggest applause, running down the aisle to her daddy. I feel like there's some great cinematography moments here. I wonder if they got their own camera crew for this part, because I can see some better quality here. One of the really cool things is he had English vowels and she had French vowels. I love her accent. And it was really cool that the officiant was able to say both, and the officiant also had an accent as well. After the wedding, they get into this something called a seaplane. So he has to add flight to everything he does, I see. Then it's the reception, and Mina walks out with a second look. A silver little number. So I mean, I was like, this wedding has some bells and whistles and respect, and I'm liking how this is going. They're having lots of kisses. They had a really great kiss at the altar, and then he dipped her and kissed her some more, and then they're kissing throughout the whole reception. So I'm seeing the love, and that's, again, that's what it's all about. Not all bells and whistles, but they had some. But seeing that love. Jordan says it's a good day, and it's more potential for her to be a part of the family. Jordan basically, like I said, she's in. And it's funny that when Mark and Mina are talking to the camera crew, she makes a joke saying, I'm pregnant. Yeah, I think Jordan would have probably come after you if she heard you say that. It was a great ride, and this was all worth it because, as we're watching this season, it kind of gets monotonous. We see the same things that we expect. They keep harping on the same issues, but when we get to the end and we see the happily ever after, to me, I feel like it was all worth it. The weddings were fun to watch. The love being there between the couples, that was wonderful. So this ending made it all worth it. Now we're going to see what's going to happen with this tell-all. All right, guys, we'll talk more faith, love, and trends on CBiz Media. This is Irene. All the best. Let's talk again. And again, don't forget you can email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. If you'd like to connect that way, you can always drop something in the comments if you'd like to do that. And always check us out on our other platforms, cbiztvmedia.com. That's where you can connect with all the other things that we're doing. All the best again, and God bless. Talk to you next time.